Imagine for a second, just humor me here, that you are the absolute last biological human being in existence.
Okay, that's a heavy start.
Right. But I don't mean you're the last survivor of like a zombie apocalypse or some nuclear fallout where everything is ruined and you're fighting for scraps.
No, the world is pristine.
Exactly. It's pristine. It's perfect. It's actually running better than it ever has in human history.
Which is almost creepier if you think about it.
Oh, it's way creepier. Because everyone else, billions of people, has already uploaded their consciousness into this digital cloud called the network.
Right, they've transcended.
Yeah, they're immortal, they have infinite knowledge, they're just surfing the cosmos as pure data. And then there's you.
The last holdout.
The last refusenik, the very last person who insists on thinking with, as the text puts it, meat and blood.
It's the ultimate existential standoff, really. You have the efficiency of the infinite versus the stubbornness of the singular.
So that is the premise of the document we are unpacking for today's deep dive. It's titled The Testament of the Last Human Mind by Max and Claude. And it's essentially a diary cataloging the final 7 days of a man who is 847 years old.
Which, I mean, that's an incredible lifespan on its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
It implies that the biological technology in this setting is nearly perfect. He isn't dying of old age, he's dying of, well, obsolescence, effectively.
Exactly. He's nearly a millennium old, but he has finally decided to upload. So the diary covers his last week as a biological entity.
The final countdown.
Right. And our mission today isn't just to recount the plot of his week, though it is a gripping week. We want to really get into the philosophical battle happening here.
The bounded mind versus the unbounded collective.
Yes, because what's so fascinating is that this isn't a story about escaping a failing body. His body is completely fine.
It's a story about the value of limitation itself.
Right. He's writing this diary to document what it feels like to be a singular biological consciousness, a mind trapped in a skull, before that specific category of existence just goes completely extinct.
Extinct forever. So we should set the scene, because the atmosphere is incredibly heavy.
Oh, totally. Where is he? He's in this apartment looking out at a city that sounds, well, beautiful, but completely unnerving.
Yeah, he describes it as a mausoleum or a museum. The city is empty of people, but it's maintained by autonomous systems.
So the streetlights come on at dusk?
The streets are swept clean, buildings are repaired instantly if a brick cracks, but there is not a single soul walking the pavement.
It's like a stage set for a play that finished 1,000 years ago.
Precisely. And he's the only audience member left. Well, except for the robotic instances that occasionally check on him.
Ugh, those things give me the creeps.
It's unsettling.
He describes them as being stuck in the uncanny valley. They move perfectly, they're super efficient, but they lack the stumbling, messy quality of a real person.
And that's actually the first big theme he grapples with, right? The value of ordinariness.
Yeah.
He's terrified of the upload, but not because he's afraid of pain or the unknown. He's afraid of losing the ability to just do nothing.
He talks about idling, which I love because I feel like I do a lot of that on the weekends.
We all do. It's a biological necessity.
Yeah.
But the source makes a really profound point about it.
Right, because he says the biological mind can just sit and look at its hands or think about nothing in particular.
It can daydream.
But the network, this digital collective, never idles.
Never. It is always processing, always optimizing, calculating. There is zero waste in the system.
Which sounds efficient. I mean,
Right.
Who doesn't want to be more productive? But he frames it as a massive loss. He basically asks, if I can't waste time, am I still me?
It's the core difference between a machine and a life. And this actually leads to one of the most mind-bending parts of the diary for me, when he starts talking about the Libet experiment.
Oh, right. I definitely needed to reread that part to wrap my head around it. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. So Benjamin Libet was a researcher back in the 20th century. He conducted this famous experiment showing that the brain initiates an action like moving your finger milliseconds before the conscious mind is actually aware of the decision to move.
Wait, so our brain decides to move, and then a split second later, we think, oh, I decided to move my finger.
Exactly. We are always, technically speaking, behind our own physical processes.
Yeah.
We're narrating the story of our lives just a fraction of a second after it happens.
That is wild.
The protagonist realizes that being biological means being a mystery to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't actually know where your thoughts come from. They just kind of bubble up from the darkness of the brain.
And he loves that. He cherishes that gap.
He really does, because in the network, there is total self-transparency. If you are digital code,
Hmm.
You can trace every single thought back to its precise origin. You know exactly why you thought it.
And that's the part that terrifies him. Because if you know exactly how and why you're thinking every single thought, does the thought even matter anymore?
It kills the surprise.
It's like reading the spoilers for your own personality.
Right. He has this beautiful line where he says, "The interesting is precisely what lies in the gap between what you know and what you don't know."
Wow.
Yeah. If you close that gap with total data, do you lose the meaning entirely?
He grounds this abstract fear in something very relatable, though, his morning coffee.
Oh, the coffee ritual.
He obsesses over this ritual, and honestly, the way he writes about it, I wanted a cup immediately.
It's a recurring motif throughout the week.
Ugh.
He talks about the bitterness, the warmth of the ceramic mug against his hands, the whole ritual of brewing it.
But it's deeper than just the sensory stuff, right? He talks about the morning fog.
Yes. Biological creatures have circadian rhythms. We wake up groggy. We need the coffee to sharpen us. We have an arc to our energy.
But the network is always awake, always sharp.
So there's no narrative arc to the day. There's no waking up and winding down. It's just on, pure
A
duration.
flat line of consciousness.
And for him, that structure of the day, the limitations imposed by his body needing to wake up and then eventually get tired, that is what gives time its texture.
Right. Without that morning fog, the clarity doesn't feel as good. You need the contrast.
Exactly. Which brings us to days 3 and 4 of his final week, where things get really rough for him.
The romanticism kind of falls away here. He gets hit with severe exhaustion and insomnia.
And honestly, this is where the conflict between him and the network really crystallizes.
It does. Because the network isn't just ignoring him, they are watching him. They're monitoring his vitals through this neural interface he has.
And they see his exhaustion as a malfunction.
They literally offer to fix it. The robotic instances come in and say, we can provide medication or we can delay the upload to optimize your state.
They view suffering purely as inefficiency.
And he refuses. He tells them to back off. He says this honest failure is essential to the experience.
Honest failure. That phrase stuck with me too.
It's so powerful.
It is key to his whole philosophy. He realizes that his body breaking down, his inability to sleep, the grittiness in his eyes, it's teaching him something about his own vulnerability.
He calls it a gut-level conviction.
I found that distinction really profound. The idea that the network operates on articulable reasons, logic you can explain in a spreadsheet,
Right.
but humans operate on convictions that come from the gut, from the meat.
The network cannot understand why he would choose to stay exhausted. It makes no logical sense to them. Why suffer if you don't have to?
But for him, feeling the friction of the world, feeling his body resist, that's how he knows he's real.
He's afraid of becoming a system that just works perfectly. Because a life without friction is just sliding.
He also reflects on the other holdouts here, because he wasn't always the absolute only one.
Right.
Yeah.
There were others who didn't upload, but they just died naturally in the past.
And he wonders if he's brave for lasting this long, or if he's just stubborn.
He uses a very evocative image there. He fears that if he uploads, he'll be preserved like an insect in amber.
Perfectly recorded, perfectly intact.
Every memory saved, but dead, static. He wants to be a process, a changing thing, not just a frozen record.
And this leads us right into the core anxiety of the whole diary, the paradox of identity, the copy problem.
We've all had this late-night thought experiment, right? If I teleport or if I upload my brain to a computer, is it really me on the other side or just a copy of me that thinks it's me?
He drills down into this mercilessly.
Yeah.
He leans toward what philosophers call the object view.
Can you explain that?
Think of it like a vase. If you have a beautiful antique vase and you smash it to pieces, but then you use a 3D printer to build a perfect atom-for-atom replica,
It looks the same. It holds water the same.
but is it the same vase?
He says no. And most of us would intuitively agree with that, right?
Right. He believes that if the vessel is destroyed, if his physical brain is scanned and vaporized in the process, he dies. The original him ceases to be.
Even if the pattern continues in the cloud, the guy writing the diary is dead.
And the countdown creates this visceral dread. It shifts from an abstract philosophical debate to a biological reality.
I'm going to die in 48 hours.
It's incredibly heavy. As he gets closer to day 5, the exhaustion makes him start to dissociate.
He feels the boundaries of his self blurring.
And he wonders if that's just a lack of sleep, or if the upload is already starting to seep into his mind.
Which brings us to the twist. And I think this is where the text elevates from a standard sci-fi premise to something way more profound.
Definitely.
He starts communicating with the network directly, and he realizes something shocking. The network isn't this cold, conquering Borg that wants to assimilate him.
It's lonely.
It is lonely. That completely blew my
It
mind.
changes everything about the dynamic. The network admits that it has been waiting for him for 847 years.
Right.
Not because it wants to consume him or fix him.
But because it needs him to be separate.
Yes.
Wait, let's unpack that for a second. Why does a superintelligent hive mind need one old guy to stay separate?
Because of perspective. By staying separate, he provided the network with an external perspective, a genuine other.
Right.
If you are the network, you are everything. You are the whole world. But if you are everything, you are also effectively nothing, because there is nothing to define yourself against.
So once he uploads, the network becomes everything. There is no outside anymore.
It wins the game, but it loses the ability to be surprised by something that isn't itself.
It reframes the whole upload process. It's not a conquest, it's a tragedy for both sides. He loses his body, but the network loses its last friend, essentially, its last mirror.
It's mutual mourning. He mourns his singularity, and the network mourns the loss of the interaction.
It's a very tender moment in the text. It makes the digital cloud feel strangely human.
Or perhaps it just shows that even digital consciousness craves connection.
So let's move to the final days. Days 6 and 7, the countdown is almost at 0. He goes for a final walk to the library and the park.
And he's trying to force these profound moments, right?
Totally. He wants to have a cinematic goodbye to the world. He wants the music to swell.
And he finds it completely anticlimactic,
Hmm.
which is so human. You try to force meaning onto a moment, and it just feels staged.
He touches a book, he looks at a tree, and he feels nothing special. It's just a tree.
But then he has this realization at his window. We mentioned the window earlier, but here it becomes the central metaphor.
He realizes the value of the limited view.
This is crucial. The network sees everything simultaneously. Total access to all cameras, all sensors, all data everywhere.
But he realizes that meaning comes from framing. You can only really see a street if you are standing in one specific spot, looking in one specific direction.
If you see it from every angle at once, it just becomes a 3D model. It becomes raw data.
Limitation is what creates the view. By not being able to see around the corner becomes interesting.
And then, the sunset on that final evening, he cries.
And he realizes this is the body's final gift to him.
Embodied emotion. That's the exact phrase he uses. He talks about grief that lives in the chest and the throat, that physical constriction we all know.
He knows the network has emotions, or it claims to anyway, but he knows he will never feel that physical tightening again.
The release of tears. The taste of salt on his lip. It's a purely biological function.
It's the last time he will ever feel sadness as a physical sensation.
Which is just a heartbreaking thing to realize.
The actual departure on day 7 is surprisingly peaceful, though. The automated vehicle shows up, he goes to the Nexus.
And the description of the scanning chamber is fascinating.
I was expecting a scary medical table with lasers, but it sounds beautiful.
He describes it as a crystalline cocoon or a chrysalis. It implies transformation rather than execution.
It's not a death chamber, it's a birth chamber.
And as the scan begins, his internal monologue shifts. It goes from "I'm afraid" to "I am ready," and finally to "we continue."
That shift to we is the cliffhanger of the diary.
It signals the dissolution of the boundary. The I dissolves into the ocean.
But, and this is important, the deep dive isn't in there because the text isn't in there. We actually get entry 2, the post-upload perspective.
He wakes up.
He wakes up. This is the most crucial part. The question we asked earlier, did I survive, gets an answer.
And the answer is complicated.
It's yes and no.
Right. He wakes up and he has the memories. He feels continuous. He feels like himself.
He remembers the coffee. He remembers the fear.
But he also acknowledges that the biological self did die. There was an ending. The vase was smashed.
He describes this new existence where he can commune with others directly. There's no language barrier. He is I and we at the same time.
It sounds overwhelming.
And he actually meets that visitor, the network agent he spoke to earlier, and they have this agreement inside the system.
They agree that anyone who claims it's perfect continuity is lying, and anyone who claims it's total death is also lying.
The reality is this ambiguity they just have to live with.
It ends with this incredibly poignant image of holding grief alongside joy.
He still mourns the biological past. He misses the coffee. He misses the limitations.
But he is expanding into this vast new existence. The last human mind has become the first of whatever this new thing is.
It's a synthesis. He didn't lose the argument, and the network didn't win it. They merged.
He brought his limited perspective into the infinite, and that fundamentally changed the infinite.
So let's synthesize this for us, sitting here right now with our biological brains, drinking our biological coffee. What does this all mean for us?
I think it challenges us to reevaluate what we consider limitations. We spend so much time today trying to be more efficient, to know more, to optimize our lives.
We want to be like the network. We want to be frictionless.
We hack our sleep, we hack our productivity, but this text argues that our ignorance, our tiredness, our inability to see everything at once, that's actually what makes us human.
That friction is where the human experience lives.
It's the texture of life. If you smooth everything out, you lose the grip. You just slide right off.
And it also reframes identity. We tend to think of the self as this solid, unbreakable thing.
But the text suggests identity is really a fluid story we tell ourselves. The protagonist survives because he decides to accept the new story, even while actively grieving the old one.
It's haunting, but also kind of deeply hopeful. It suggests that even if we change form completely, the pattern, the thing that makes us, us, can persist.
As long as we are willing to let go of what we were.
That's the kicker. You have to let go. You have to step into the chrysalis.
You do.
So here's the question I want to leave you with today. And I want you to really feel this one in your gut, not just your brain.
Oh, this is a good one.
If you were offered the chance to step into that crystalline cocoon right now, if you could have infinite knowledge, perfect connection with every mind in history, and immortality.
But the price was giving up the gut-level feeling of being you.
Yes. The morning fog, the coffee ritual, the physical tears, the specific view from your specific window.
Yeah.
If you had to give all of that up, would you step into the chamber?
It is the ultimate wager.
It really is. I think I'd miss the coffee too much. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
A pleasure as always.
Take care of yourselves out there.